Okay, let's take a look at some research questions so you have a better idea of what you should be looking for in your research question. So I've pulled out some research questions from previous labs. Just to be clear, these are not about the same experiment that you've done, but we're going to talk about the components of a research question that make it good. Okay, so this first one, how does pollution level affect dark peppered moths, keeping the time, total number of moths at the start, and type of moth consistent? Okay, so some things I like the fact that we have an independent variable that's pretty clear. It's pollution levels. That's great. And then they talk a lot about the different kinds of controls they have. I'm not sure, they kind of went overboard with that a little bit. But they have this thing that says affect, right? Affect the dark peppered moths. This is an unclear dependent variable. Okay? I happen to know what this experiment was about. It was about a rate, and affect is not specific enough when it comes to your research question. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. So how does lactase enzyme concentration affect the sweetness of milk? Okay, so there's some really good things here. Number one, again, it seems very clear what the independent variable was. They listed them, which you can do if you want. Although I do want to point out something. An amount, which is grams, is not a concentration. So that's a problem with this. And then it says affect the sweetness of milk. So again, we're going for this affect, sweetness of milk. So this is not a clear dependent variable because I don't know how they're going to measure it. If they had followed it up with a second sentence saying how they're going to measure it, then I think it probably would have been okay. Okay, let's take a look at this one. How do the different pollution levels affect the dark colored peppered moths percentage change? Okay, so number one, let's see, we got an independent variable, different pollution levels, okay, and in this experiment, that's really all they could say. And then affect the dark colored peppered moths percent change. Okay, so that's a more clear dependent variable. I think the only thing I would say to make this better is to give me a time frame. In this example, a time frame would help make this a little bit more specific, but they have the second they have two sentences afterwards, which is totally okay, and they're giving us a little bit more information. So they're using a simulation, which is fine, and then different simulated blah 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 100 ticks, which is a time frame in this. So this is a great research question. I like how it's very clear what the independent and dependent variable is. I like that it's clear how they're going to be determining this. They're using a simulation right here. Let me just erase that for a second. I meant to use the highlighter. So I like that they're using this simulation. I like that they're giving us a time frame. They're making this very nice and specific. Okay, how does different concentrations of hydrogen peroxide, there's your independent variable, affect the rate? Ooh, there's our switch colors. I'm trying to stay at least somewhat consistent. Okay, so this is pink. Okay, and then affect the rate of catalase reaction. So there's your dependent variable. And I like that they're being nice and specific. They're telling us the specific organisms they're looking at, and they're looking at the time frame of 1 minute. Okay, and then they give us a little bit more information, the piece of equipment they're using, even the formula that they're going to use. That's very nice and specific. So while this research question it's not the worst research question, it's also not a great research question. These are much better, more specific research questions. Okay, thank you.